Bum 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 do 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 do. Hi everybody, welcome back. Oh, I gotta turn on a webcam thing. Hold on. Boom, there we go. Yeah, baby. Hi everybody. Welcome back to another Papa Tikyo. Guy who's lived in Japan for a long time reacts to Japan-related videos for his YouTube content today. I'm here with Mr. Snorlax over here in the background, and I got this video called Japan's New Problem, Butsukari. And yeah, we're gonna talk about it today. Guys, if you're in the chat, let me know if the audio is too loud for this webcam section or not of this part. But anyway, yeah, let's get to the video, shall we? Yep. These streams are like sex, no homo. There you go, Mirai. Cash baby, what it does. Mirai, how was the audio during the webcam thing earlier? Was that okay or was it too loud? Okay, guys, let's get into this, shall we? What's going on here? Push the play button.
Japan has a new problem. Harassment of people
I
and
saw that
physical
one.
assaults
Yep.
are increasing day by day.
I gotta turn up
For
the
a while,
quality of this.
It seemed like Kasuhara, better known as customer harassment, where people abuse retail workers
Yeah.
due to their inability
People who do
to
that are
fight
pieces
back,
of shit.
was the biggest problem. But things got even worse once chikan, men who sexually harass young girls,
Yeah.
became a problem
Those
so
motherfuckers.
big that even separating men and women during the rush hour wasn't enough to stop it. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get any worse, a third form of harassment has now emerged in Japan.
Oh, what is it? Oh, the guys are going around and shouldering women on purpose.
Japan is often seen as one of the safest and
Passive
most polite
aggressive
countries in
bitch
the world.
asses.
And while that has historically been true, recently something has happened that has changed everything. This didn't happen overnight, since for a long time Japan has been boiling.
Yeah, they'll never do this to
underneath.
foreigners.
Decades of social
They're
pressure,
afraid of foreigners.
overwork, and emotional repression.
But they'll do this
have
to fellow
created a large
Japanese.
group of people who feel invisible in Japanese society and powerless to control their lives, which eventually leads them to take out their anger on innocent people around them.
Weak motherfuckers.
These are called Butsukari.
Butsukari.
Butsukari are people who
Butsukari
physically
means to
assault
bump
random
in, like to
bypassers
hit.
during rush hour when there are many people around and they can quickly vanish into the crowd. These random attacks usually happen inside train stations during the mornings when the
This has
crowds
been going
are
on for
massive
a couple
and
years.
people are in hurry. Times like these are an opportunity for a Butsukari to attack someone in the crowd and quickly escape from the crime scene before the victim or anyone else has time to react.
Weak
the most
beta
common
male
way for
bullshit.
Butsukari to assault people is to slam onto them with their shoulder as hard as they can in the crowd. This is even where their name comes from, since Butsukari in English basically means a slammer. However, the term Butsukari is essentially an umbrella term for all the people who physically assault random bypassers in the crowd. These can include kicking someone or something, pushing people around, and any other form of physical contact. Some Butsukari even go as far as causing permanent damage to their victims, like in the case that happened in Tamachi Station recently.
What
A
happened
man
in
who was
Tamachi
on his way
Station?
to work was approached by a stranger walking on the wrong side of the road.
Okay.
This stranger then forcefully slammed onto the man and continued walking. But then, after the victim had turned his back to the situation, he could hear the man running towards him from behind.
Shit.
And as he turned his head to look, he was sucker punched to the head by the stranger who slammed onto him. The stranger then grabbed the man by the collar and started kicking him to the head with his knee while shouting, "Don't underestimate us local people." After the altercation, the victim was then rushed to the hospital where he had to spend 2 weeks due to his injuries. These kind of incidents aren't just random acts of violence, since Butsukari are a well-known epidemic in Japan and it's only getting worse day by day.
Really?
According to a survey, 14% of people in Japan have been victims of a Butsukari. However, some
Just fight
online
back,
surveys
dude.
show even higher numbers. Most of these cases happen in large cities, and there's a clear correlation between the population and the cases. The bigger the city, the more Butsukari there are. One of the
Yeah.
most common excuses by Butsukari is that they're fighting against so-called arukismaho, people who walk while looking at their smartphones. When
Well.
confronted, many of them claim they're just teaching a lesson to the people glued to their phones, but in reality, it's just an excuse to justify random aggression.
Man, if
The
every single one of those...
and unsurprising thing in all of this,
If every single one of those assholes who fucking hits somebody, if they got knocked the fuck out afterwards, like, you know, what is it? It's like, I forgot, like, what is a good excuse to use violence? That's a good excuse to use violence right there. If you didn't do anything and somebody physically assaults you and you knock them the fuck out, what's the likelihood they'll do that again, you know? Like, you know, the older I get, the more I feel like people should be justified if, like, oh yeah, well, because there's cameras everywhere now, right? Like, at least in the city, you can't go anywhere without having a camera film you. And it's like, if somebody, like, intentionally ran into you, like, it's not one of those things where they accidentally, like, a friend pushed them into you or something. Like, if they intentionally ran into you, you should, like, that should give you like a free pass to just beat their ass, you know? Like, this is why they'll never pull this shit on foreigners, because they know that foreigners are a lot more unhinged than Japanese people, and they'll just go off. They'll fucking chimp out and be like, rah, you know, and just fuck them up. But I don't know, man. Like, Japanese people are so nice. Like, you know, they do this shit to each other because they feel like they can expect that. With foreigners, it's a wild card, you know? But yeah, it makes me sad to hear this shit.
is that there seems to be a higher chance of getting assaulted the smaller in stature you are.
Yeah.
Which is why most of the victims are young women. According to most of the surveys, women are the main victims of Butsukari, as can
Yeah, again, like, I don't mean to cut it off so quickly again, but it's just, that's why it's so important. If you have a daughter and you're living in Japan, you really need to teach them not just martial arts, but, like, something that, like, because it's like, well, what if it's like a 300-pound, like, 6-foot tall guy? There's not much she can do. And it's like, nah, dude, like, part of martial arts is not just learning what, like, you know, how to fight, but it's learning confidence to not be pushed around by people who are bigger than you, you know? Like I remember Sam Hyde, even though I don't really like a lot of what Sam Hyde says because I think it's just bullshit, but, you know, he brought up a good point where it's like, if you're tired of being pushed around, like, get in shape, learn how to fight, you know? Because that way, at least when you're confronted with a situation like this, it's, you know, like, you have the confidence to be like, did you just fucking hit me, dude? Like, and I know that's one thing where it's like, you shouldn't try to pick a fight with everything that happens, where it could be, like, you know, it could be a misunderstanding. But, like, if you're a woman, like, you got to be able to fight back, you know? And it's always behavior like this. It's like very beta male, just sad bully behavior. Like, you know, this is what bullies do. They bully people that are smaller than them that they think can't fight back. And it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't have like kids of my own, but I teach kids, and I'm always worried about them. Like, if, like, once they get older or whatever. Like, I have a student who's in the 4th grade, and she got accepted into a private school, and she has to take the train. She has to take like 2 or 3 trains just to get to that school every day in the morning with all these other adults. And even though Japan is a fairly safe country, there's still unhinged assholes like this that, like, you know, like, what if they did that to one of my students, man? I'd be so fucking pissed off. And so it's just like, you gotta be able to, like, I think that a lot of people here, it's like all of these rough, strong, masculine role models that we had, at least I had growing up in America, you know, like Hulk Hogan, shit like that. It's like they taught you to be a man and not take shit. I don't know if they have that for, like, the newest generation of, like, younger people out there, you know? I think a lot of people are avoiding conflict, which is fine for the most part, but, like, people like this, they need to be called out on it. Like, you know, they need to get their asses kicked pretty much. And I'm not calling for violence or anything, but I'm just like, there's nothing wrong with defending yourself when somebody is trying to hurt you. And I think a lot more people need to understand that, you know? And, yeah, like, again, like, you know, it's like, a good thing is that if this does happen in big cities, you can call these people out. And usually I know it's like it's a symptom of something else, right? Like, they're either, like, you know, bullies are usually people who are getting bullied, right? And so it's like maybe this guy's getting bullied at work and he's taking it out on women, but still, that's not an excuse, man. You're an adult. You know, adults, civilized people, they do not act like this. And if you're not going to get in trouble with the law, then nothing teaches you better than a nice, swift ass kicking, you know? Like, and I think like a lot more people would be, the world would be a better place if assholes like this got their asses kicked more often, you know? That's all I'm saying. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I admire you if you're fighting people that are your size or bigger than you. But if you're picking on people that can't fight back or that are smaller than you, you're just a fucking tool and you need to get your ass kicked. You know, you need to get your ass put in line. In my humble opinion. What do you guys think? Mirai says the usual suspect. Same thing happens in the UK as well.
Even be seen in all of these videos that I found online.
Yeah, look at these pieces of
also
shit.
Seems to be a higher chance of getting assaulted the younger you are, and many times the attacks can be just as vicious even if you're young. As for example, in another recent case, a young woman was stopped at the station by a man telling her she was getting in his way. When the man got the woman's attention, he then punched her in the chest, which caused her to break her rib cage. Most of the Butsukari seem to be older men, and since they tend to attack women and smaller people, to me it seems like these are troubled people with anger issues who then take their anger out to people in the most pussy way possible.
Yep, exactly.
By secretly slamming onto people much smaller than them because they're too cowardly to face their issues or their victims. The problem with trying to stop these Butsukari is that since they do it quickly and silently in a crowd, while also pretending it's an accident, it's essentially almost impossible to convict them. Even though it does count as a physical assault, it's hard to prove intent to their slamming, and unless it's caught on camera or the Butsukari confesses, they pretty much always walk free. Considering how common the Butsukari are, this is one of those things I'd like to warn all of you about when you're coming to Japan. Now obviously I'm not saying it will happen to you, but just be mentally prepared in case it happens. Since I've read many stories from people online who say their trip was ruined once they were attacked. If we just search shoulder check Japan on Reddit, we will be greeted with many posts like this.
What, really?
Recently, I went on an 8-day trip to Tokyo, but throughout those 8 days, I've been shoulder checked 1+ times 5 out of 8 of those days. I'm not gonna say it's gonna happen to you this much.
That's Reddit though. Reddit, they lie about everything for attention on there.
It happens. It became so frequent that my family began to also retaliate by shoulder checking back the individuals. Now, I understand the feeling, and to be honest, I would probably start doing the same myself, but at the same time, I can't really say that starting to shoulder check people back is the most noble
Just knock them out, dude.
However, I can't help but blame myself for it, as if I deserve this for being a tourist in Japan. How can I at least mitigate getting shoulder checked next time I come
people
back?
like this, they're autistic, you know?
I am a
they
Chinese
don't
woman
understand.
and didn't speak much Japanese, so I did communicate in Mandarin to my family. Yeah, this is kind of the sad state of affairs at the moment, that Japanese people aren't really too fond of Chinese tourists, or by any tourist by that matter. But, don't get scared. You will have great time in Japan, and 99% of people will be nothing but nice to you. But, you know, there's a lot of tourism in Japan right now, tensions are high, and there will be racist anywhere you go in the world.
Yeah.
Quick rant. My spouse and I were walking through Shinjuku Station with a local friend to grab lunch. As we walked by the west exit, an older Japanese man punched me hard in the ribs next to my right breast. It was a well-aimed punch, as I was wearing a small backpack, so he managed to hit just between my arm and a back as I walked by. Oh, that sucks. As you can see, even from this story, it's not
I've
like
never
the
had this happen to me.
Always, you know, shoulder slam you hard.
Is it just
because
I'm a big
sometimes
guy?
They might do other things. Like in this woman's case, she said that the older Japanese man punched her really hard to her, you know, rib cage. I was shocked.
Knock that motherfucker out,
dude. He raised
dude.
both his fists and shook them in my face. In retrospect, I wish I'd grabbed his hand and yelled for a guard, but I just hurried away.
Why doesn't this ever happen to people that speak Japanese,
I didn't
dude?
post this to scare anyone away from Shinjuku Station or from traveling in Japan in general. I'm feeling a bit raw about it, that's all. That last part that she said is a really good thing to say, and that is also the message I want to leave all you guys with. Japan is a wonderful country with wonderful people. But just like any country, it has its problems and its
I wouldn't want to
crazy
piss you
people.
off. I'm a peaceful
Right
guy.
now, the government is trying to take countermeasures against Butsukari, for example, by separating the roads to encourage people to not walk towards each other. None of this will really help in the end though, since big cities like Tokyo are gonna have their problems and people like this will always exist. In the end, the scary part of Butsukari isn't that they exist, it's the fact that they've learned how to blend in and you'll never know when you become a target.
Huh. Okay. What does Fuller have to say? I was in a supermarket a few years ago, and an old man physically pushed me so I would move forward in the checkout line. Fuller, how much do you weigh? Like, are you like a big guy like me? I'm not even tall. I'm like 5'10". I'm like 5'10", probably close to 400 pounds. You know, I'm a big fat guy. You know, but like even when I was like 100 pounds less than this, I don't remember anything. Like if something like that happened, I don't remember it happening to me. You know. Yeah. How old was he? Yeah. Guys, I mean, I just think that when you come to another country, you don't know the language, just be aware of stuff like this. I mean, like the sad fact is that people are going to do stuff like this and they're going to get away with it. And it just depends on how much you're willing to put up with, you know? Because if you don't speak the language and you're in a crowded place and you're in the middle of going somewhere, more than likely you're just going to let it go and be like, yeah, whatever, I'll talk about it with my friends later or something. But I don't know, man. For people that have been in Japan a long time like me that speak Japanese, I'd probably let it go unless it really fucking hurt. And if that hurt, I mean, I'll be honest, like in Japan, you're not supposed to, if you're a foreigner, you're never supposed to fight back because it'll always take the Japanese person's side over you. But, you know, this is like Bruce Willis during the briefing talk on SNL or something, right? Where it's like he says he's going to do all this shit, but would he really? In an ideal situation like that, if somebody did something like that, if they just shoulder checked me, I'd probably just let it go because I've got a big body like a pillow and it doesn't really hurt when people do that. But if somebody physically punched me, I would grab them and then get them to do some other shit. I'd try to look for the camera and be like, okay, and get them to do some other shit so that I'd be justified in beating their ass, you know? Because you'd be surprised, man. Like, if Japanese people see you and you're obviously the victim, then, like, you'd be surprised. Japanese people will get your back, dude. Like, I had a friend who runs a bar in Kanagawa, and these guys were really drunk and causing trouble, and so he kicked them out of the bar, and then they came back in and they sucker punched him. And he went outside and they just started beating his ass. And then these other locals came and they didn't beat the guy's asses, but they pulled them off of him. And, you know, like when the cops came, the drunk guys were lying and they're like, oh, he attacked us. And there were no cameras around, right? So he wouldn't have been able to, he wouldn't have been able to back his story up. But those other Japanese people were like, no, we saw the whole thing. Those guys sucker punched him and then ran, and then they started beating his ass, and those guys got arrested for that. So don't think that Japanese people won't get your back. But the thing is that my friend did speak Japanese though. And so if you're a foreigner, it's not about like, oh, they don't care about tourists. They just don't care about people who don't speak Japanese. So if you make it harder for them where they're like, oh, man, this motherfucker doesn't speak any Japanese. I don't got time for this. I got to go. Then, yeah, that's you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. But anyway, yeah, that's it for my reaction video to this. What do you guys think about it? When you travel, did you ever encounter this in Japan? Let me know in the comments down below. And don't worry, if you guys are watching this on the stream, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just ending this video. So you guys stay black, and yeah, Otsukari-sama deshita. I'll see you on the next one. Yeah, buddy.
something with all your heart and energy, but you can't care about it if you're always holding yourself back in case it doesn't work out.
Yeah, why y'all put cheese on my cheeseburger?
I'm sorry, what?
Shut your bitch ass